We're going to broaden out from Georgia now to take a look at where we are right now with this U.S. presidential election with James André, who joins me on the set. And James, it seems like things are as undecided as ever.
Very much so. I think they're getting more undecided by the day at the moment, which is quite remarkable. So I have a few figures for you. We have these polls that are up to date and which are going to come up on your screen in just a minute. So first, what we've seen is basically things getting closer and closer. So we start with Michigan and Pennsylvania, which you can see here are with a very, very tight Harris lead. Now, it says here 48-48, 49-48. What we have here is a less than 1% margin in favor of Harris in these two very important states. Pennsylvania is one of the main battleground states this year. It carries 19 electoral votes, so that's a very important state indeed, and both campaigns are heavily involved in trying to win it. Michigan, of course, has a lot of issues as well, such as, for example, a lot of Arab origin voters who are very interested in what's going on with the Israeli-Palestinian conflicts. But you can see here, 48-48, 48-49, very close. Let's carry on with more pro-Harris. I mean, ever so slightly leaning Harris states. That's Nevada and Wisconsin. Here you can see it as well, 48-48. 49-48, same. That means we're within a margin of 1%. Now, if we look at other states which are leaning towards Trump, now we have North Carolina here, where Trump has a 1% lead. And then there are two other states which we should be seeing just now. There we are. You see it here, Georgia and Arizona, where there again, Trump is there again in front. Now, he has a slightly larger advance in Arizona, which is close to 2%, Georgia within the 1% margin. So very clearly what we have here are very, very, very close, tight races in these swing states, which are all important because, of course, as you know, in the American system, whoever takes these states will probably win the battle.
Right, probably. And what's so incredible is like how close this race is getting now, just 3 weeks away. Let's talk a bit more about the candidates' strategies, how they're trying to convince voters to vote for them, and perhaps if they've made any missteps. Let's start with Kamala Harris.
Now, indeed, there are quite a few questions when it comes to the campaigns. What Kamala Harris is doing is she is desperately trying to convince the middle ground, if you like, the center of the American political chessboard. And you can see it in various moments in this recent campaign. Now, for example, she's trying to find middle ground. If you take, for example, gun control, which is something that has been, a classic bone of contention between the Republicans and the Democrats, with the Republicans being traditionally more gun-friendly than the Democrats who are trying to curb all these mass shootings we see in the United States. Well, Kamala Harris has obviously decided that it was more interesting to say that she is a gun owner. She said it publicly. And she's actually carried on by saying what type of gun she owns on television and being quite vocal about the fact that, she is a gun owner. Same with her, Tim Walz, who is her running mate. But, I mean, she's doing this on a various amount of topics, which makes, I believe, American voters, for some of them, not really understand where she stands on the issues. And that can be quite disconcerting. I'd say when it comes to missteps as well, because to be honest, right now, I'd say the momentum, though it is a very small momentum, but it's still on the side of Donald Trump's campaign in these all-important swing states at the moment. And indeed, Kamala Harris, when there was, of course, the storms that hit the United States, well, we did see Donald Trump go straight there. Kamala Harris was, in a late night show that day, drinking a beer with Stephen Colbert, which didn't go down very well. So it does appear that this campaign, which is, I'd say, very traditional, where she's trying to use, Hollywood and people and appear in a lot of podcasts, try and make herself more sympathetic and make herself better known to the public, is not really working at this moment. At the same time, Donald Trump is just doubling down on everything that he stands for with his base, including, and this is something new, this idea of the enemy within, that these Democrats are evil, he said in a meeting. And if you look at all the banners behind him, it's often more and more extreme with, this invasion, etc. So very much on a very, very hard right stance, which seems to be working at the moment.
And James, just very briefly, of course, one of the biggest issues for voters is the economy. I mean, how much is that at play this time around?
Well, it is very much in play indeed. Though, funnily enough, if you listen to what the candidates are saying, Donald Trump is very much on the line about immigration and this invasion and these enemies within. But though the thing is, his political stance when it comes to the economy is quite clear. He's said repeatedly that his plan is to bring down the price of energy, which mechanically would bring down the price of everything else. Obviously, his critics would say that that is at the expense of the environment, but that's a different topic. The fact of the matter is, it does seem this is working. And if you interview the Americans, they say that when it comes to the economy, they trust Donald Trump more than Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris has been, on her behalf, she has, of course, to go with the legacy of Joe Biden, but in a sense, what she's saying is she's offering tax credits for first kid, first flat, for new businesses, but that doesn't seem to be gaining that much traction when it comes to actual efficiency, which it does appear a lot of voters, or at least undecided voters, seem to be believing that this lowering the price of the energy is more efficient on the Trump side.
All right, James, thanks so much for that. There are still less than 3 weeks to go, about 20 days to go, so anything can happen between now and November 5th. James André, thanks so much for keeping an eye on all of that for us.